All right, well, welcome everyone to the Southborough School Committee meeting, the first one of the year, actually. I call this meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. on September 13th. Anything else I need to say? All right. So first we'll open it up for any public comments. Okay, we have one member that might be thinking about something for later. If you have any public comments, we will also have room for that at the end of the meeting. Next, we'll move on to new business. I welcome all the principals, and we can go into the principals' reports.
Do you want me to start? I'm not a principal.
I'll start.
I'll start. So I just want to, share with the committee that we had a wonderful start to the 23-24 academic year. It's hard to believe it's only been 9 days of school, but we've had a great start, and a lot of that great start is because of the hard work of all of the folks, teachers, principals, central office staff, making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed in their planning and efforts, and that you only know when that work doesn't go well when the start doesn't go well. So all that work happens behind the scenes, and I just want to take a moment and thank all of our principals in Southborough for doing such a great job, and making sure that faculty and staff have what they need, also making sure we're ready for students. And I also just want to thank the committee. Several members were able to attend the Welcome Back gathering on the first day back for faculty and staff, so it was great to see you there. And I think we had a great first 3 days, and Dr. Reinhorn will share a little bit about that during her presentation. So thank you. And
thank you.
Clayton.
Thanks, Greg. I'd like to start by acknowledging all the hard work of David Austin, Chris Banks, Brian Fantoni, and the entire facilities crew. They did an incredible job preparing our school for the upcoming academic year. Thank you all very much. Our school was in pristine condition for both our open house event and our first day of school. I'd also like to thank Chris and Gould in the FinSOS organization for their thoughtfulness by providing us an opening day luncheon for our staff with food from Nan's in Southborough, as well as all the Fin parents who volunteered as bus monitors during the initial days of school, significantly adding a level of comfort and reassurance for those new students as they embark on their school journey, many for the first time riding our buses. We started our first day with Greg's inspirational opening remarks, followed by Doc Brown, a very dynamic performer, highlighting the district theme for the year. This year's theme revolves around introspection and reflection. Who are you at your best? Who are we at our best? And how can we elevate others to be at their best? So we carried these themes over to our first staff meeting and discussed ways that we could support each other throughout the year, emphasizing the need for a supportive staff community. Over the next 2 days, staff all continued with their professional growth and development. During this time, staff deepened their understanding of several key initiatives. Second step, our new social emotional learning curriculum, positive behavioral interventions and support, also known as PBIS, SD Math, Wit and Wisdom, our newly adopted K-8 English Language Arts curriculum. And additionally, we conducted our open house for families the day before school started. This was very well attended. We do this intentionally to schedule it before school starts to help reduce anxiety, often experienced by our students as they transition into the new academic year. An aspect that we're all very excited about at Finn is the addition of Senora Maria Graziani, our foreign language in elementary schools, also known as FLES, Spanish teacher. Senora Graziani is introducing Spanish language instruction to our kindergarten and grade 1 students. Already, our young learners are acquiring basic greetings, vocabulary related to everyday items, emotional expressions. Senora Graziani uses a multimodal approach, incorporating gestures, movement, tactile engagement, music, manipulatives, making language acquisition a very engaging process. As we transition into the academic year, we're very proud to affirm that we are establishing robust student connections, cultivating a positive school culture, and reinforcing essential routines that serve as the foundation for all future learning. And lastly, I have to give credit to the entire Finn School staff. They're an outstanding group of professionals, and I sincerely thank them for their dedication and positive attitude that makes our school welcoming and inviting for students and families. Thank you, and we're excited about the year ahead.
Thank you, Clayton. I'd like to begin by acknowledging and thanking Assistant Superintendent Lavoie, Brian Pantoni, and the Southborough custodial and maintenance staff, especially Joe Mancini and Tom Durant, our Woodward custodians, for preparing Woodward for the start of the year. We were happy to host the Southborough Rec Camp again at Woodward, but with the last day being on August 18th, it required careful planning and execution to complete the summer maintenance routines. The building was in tip-top shape, and I can't thank them enough for their efforts. We began our year with 3 valuable days of collaboration, professional development, and team planning. I'd like to thank Assistant Superintendent Reinhorn, Jennifer Lipton-O'Connor, Megan Kelty, and Kathy Lazat for their planning and preparation of staff development focused on Second Step, Wit and Wisdom, and ST Math. Same programs that Principal Ryan had mentioned. Continuing with the themes shared by our keynote speaker, Doc Brown, at our district opening meeting, the Woodward staff engaged in discussions centered on who we are when we're at our best and how do we support others to be their best. We took part in activities that shined a light on the diverse backgrounds, skill sets, licenses, and life experiences of our staff. As a faculty, we have so much to offer our students, families, and each other. Continued work this year will focus on the themes of Together at Our Best. I'd also like to thank our amazing SOS for sponsoring our Welcome Back Luncheon on our first day and for their efforts to give our staff room a much-needed makeover. In addition, SOS is providing all teaching staff with a teacher grant to help offset the costs of preparing their classroom and teaching spaces. On September 1st, we welcomed Johnny the K, a musician who shares his message of kindness and compassion through song. This was also sponsored by SOS and was a great way to start the year and end our first week together. We're excited to begin planning for our second annual color run to be held later in October. So I'll send out the dates for that. Lastly, most importantly, I'd like to thank our amazing Woodward staff for a successful start to the year. It is no small feat preparing classroom spaces, curriculum materials, units of study, and engaging lessons for a new group of students. Staff have embraced the challenge of new curriculum and are working collaboratively to support each other, students, and families.
I'm going to speak for Kathleen in her absence. So Kathleen would like to recognize the excellent work of their custodians, Mike Daigle, head custodian, Claudio De Silva, and Mike Holm for their Herculean effort in preparing NERI for the start of the year. Similar to Woodward and Finn, NERI teachers and ESPs participated in professional development for Second Step, ST Math, and Wit and Wisdom. Thank you to Megan Kelty, Kathy Lazat, and Jennifer Lipton for coordinating and presenting on these important trainings. Kudos to the teaching staff for incredible preparedness, working collaboratively to get classrooms ready and supplies and welcoming students on their first day. Their open house was a huge success, and it was nice to connect with the new and returning families. NERI also launched their new year with a whole school assembly focused on our new SEL curriculum, Second Step. As a school community, we developed norms focused on responsible and respectful actions. Thank you to our SEL leaders, Miriam Soto and Joy Head, for leading this assembly. Thank you to Jennifer Lipton for joining us as well. This year, NERI's 4th grade has been selected to participate in the National Assessment of Educational Progress, NAEP testing. The primary purpose of the National Assessment for Educational Progress is also known as the Nation's Report Card, is to measure the educational achievement and progress of the nation's students at established grades and ages in relation to the content of NAEP frameworks. Our testing will be in early March prior to MCAS. The NERI staff would also like to thank SOS for their delicious luncheon that they provided. NERI School Council will have its first meeting in November. We have a great group of veteran teachers and returning parents. As NERI will be developing a new school improvement plan, they are looking forward to the collaborative work of this committee. NERI students and staff are looking forward to our fun run next month, as well as our annual candy collection for the Rise Above, which provides care packages to college students who have aged out of the foster care system but do not have the traditional support system. All in all, NERI is off to a wonderful start this year. So I am last. All right. First, I'd like to thank, or welcome, and thank Mr. Todd Kittleson, our new assistant principal, who onboarded over the summer. Todd has had a successful transition coming to Trotter. He's brought a great new lens for Trotter and a whole child philosophy into all his work. So thank you, Todd. I'd also like to thank our custodial staff as well, Brian Fantoni, Pat Powers, Nick Iliff, Chris Banks, for a wonderful opening to the school year and beautifying Trotter. In addition, I want to recognize our technology team, John Wigan, Will Knapp, and Jen Devlin, who helped deploy over 400 Chromebooks successfully for students, prepared printers and updates for our staff this year as well to have a smooth start to the year. In preparation for the year, we had a open house in late August to welcome new families, and actually anyone can come. It was to take self-guided tours, and we had over 75 families come that night. It was great to see so many meet some new families and see some returning families as well. In preparation for the year, to try to your staff and engage and collaborated by looking at our school culture survey, which we conducted with students last year. And the focus really was in engagement within the classroom and building connections in the school-wide community. Students, we did shift our opening day orientation. We used to have 2 days, and we shifted it down to 1 day, and we called it Trotter Opening Day, which I like to call Todd. Students participated in study skills, field activities, review of schedules, summer reading program, and our community building work. In an effort to build those connections with students, we introduced students to our 6-word memoir project on that day, and will be continued throughout the year. I also would like to thank SOS, who, as part of their appreciation efforts to start the year, purchased a Trotter sweatshirt, T-shirt, or pullover for every Trotter staff member. We routinely celebrate our school culture on our Fun Fridays by showing our Trotter pride, and this is a great way to help all of us to come together. On the horizon, I do want to remind the school committee that we are preparing for our Nature's Classroom field trip with our 6th graders, which will be taking place in October, and Mr. Kittleson will be leading that trip, and our Washington, D.C. trip for our 8th graders in November, which I will be attending as well as Mr. Lavoie. Both these trips are in full swing in terms of preparation, and are really just underscore a return to some traditions that are important milestones for our students. Again, as my colleagues have mentioned, it's been a great start of the year. Our staff have come back with a great deal of enthusiasm, preparation, and are really ready to take on the year. And our students have come back with such optimism and positivity and humor. It's been such a great start. So thank you.
Any questions or comments from anybody with any of the principals?
Sounds like a great start to the year for all of you. Thank you for all your hard work to get yourselves ready and your staff. I have 3 almost happy kids at home, so I'll take that. But I know a lot goes into it during the summer and getting the buildings ready and your teams. And I know you have a lot of new curriculum coming up, so hopefully those PD days were helpful.
Roger.
So our committee hasn't quite gotten the same good start that you have yet, but we're going to get rolling on time. Okay, so.
Yeah, I think even, you've all been throwing a little bit of a curveball with the weather challenges over the first few days, not even weeks, but first few days of school. So I saw how all of you had to adjust for that, and I think that was great, involving community, teachers, staff, principals, fans, out of the woodwork. So it just kind of speaks to the flexibility that we all have to have. I love hearing about all the things that are new, but also old that we're gonna continue on with. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. One question I had, which was for Clayton around Senora Graziani.
Yes.
Is she serving just Finn or multiple schools, or maybe there's like a forum or a committee that she's a part of in helping us to develop our FLES program since it's so new?
Yeah, so right now she is serving kindergarten and grade 1 students, and we're doing that based on the model and recommendation. We do have a committee that Dr. Reinhorn has been chairing, and includes staff members and some input from the community. We're looking at different models. We've reached out to Brookline, Arlington, Dover, Sherburne, Millis Public Schools, all who have focused on immersion and FLES programming. And we're looking at how we can maximize the structure that we have currently and look to build it down the road.
And she's also, sorry, kicked over my bottle water. We also are going to have occasions throughout the year where Signora Graziani will meet with the middle school and high school world language leaders, so that we also are having this conversation through a K through 12 lens as well. So it's although she understands that like her responsibilities are at Finn, she also recognizes that she's helping to build this program. And she's a great person to do it. And it's because she worked at Trotter previously, she has strong connections to the world language staff there, and so they talk all the time, I can tell. So that's exciting too.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Any other last thoughts or comments? Okay. So I'll turn it over to school reopening updates. Greg, I think you'll lead us.
Yes, sure. So I think I should relabel that to school continuation update because our extended school year and our multicultural learner program really was a continuation of the work that ended in June. So we had many educators continuing the work with students over the summer. And this evening we have Helene Desjardins, who is Assistant Director of Student Support Services, here to talk about the ESY successes. And Rhoda Webb will talk about the multilingual cultural program this summer. So, Helene, why don't we start? We'll save some moves. So we'll start with Rhoda, and then we'll switch.
So good evening. We've had a wonderful summer program for our multilingual learners. It took place over 2 weeks, August 7th through 10th, and the 14th to the 17th. We have a full day, 8:45 to 1:45 p.m. a.m. to p.m. I would like to thank Keith Lavoy and Sheila Hanna for setting up the buses. It's the second year in a row that we have buses for families who cannot transport their children. We focus on children who are from level 1 to a level 3 to develop their English language proficiency. There were other children that did want to come. There were a total of 19 students from Southborough, but a total of 69 students all in all in the program, because we join all our communities, our districts, Northborough, Southborough, and Algonquin, at one school, Proctor School in Northborough, because we're working on one theme, and this year it was financial literacy for the children. And we do a culminating theme on the very last day. So the students this year learned about financial literacy, as I said. The focus of 1st through 3rd grade, the students used literature and hands-on activities to learn about needs, wants, goods, services, and money. So currency, they were actually working with money. 4th and 5th grade students examined aspects of being a consumer. They also used literature and hands-on activities to practice using money, and they learned how advertising and other factors impact their choices. And they also wrote advertising commercials and building their own business. The middle school through high school was one group. We worked multi-age. They learned about entrepreneurs and took a product from an idea to the eventual creation. They created products. They first surveyed the interests of the younger students who were going to be their consumers. So the very last day, we celebrated all the learning in a very authentic way with Market Day. So the cafeteria was filled and set up like a market. Middle school and high school students marketed and sold their products to the younger consumers who had money. And they applied their accounting and knowledge to an authentic shopping experience. Some of the programs made by the middle schoolers and high schoolers were hand-sewn coin wallets made out of cut up pieces of plastic and melted together. Pencil holders, magnets made out of bottle caps, origami, original art pieces, miniature animals made out of clay, slime, homemade slime. And the 4th and 5th graders provided arcade games that they made, that they designed in their classes. Another highlight that we were able to bring back after the pandemic is that we took all students to a college visit. The purpose of that is that many children, it's going to be the first generation that they're going to be attending college in the United States. This year, Anna Maria College set up the visit for us. It was tailored for elementary and then middle school and high school. They had 2 different experiences. Everybody had lunch in the cafeteria, and it was a very successful visit. And later on, when I do give the presentation later on this year about our multilingual learners, I'll be able to show you photos of the inserted into the presentation about that summer. So we were very grateful that we had another successful learning experience for our students.
Thank you, Rhoda.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. So, as Greg said, I'm Helene Desjardins.
That is a big name tag to fill.
I know it is. Helene Desjardins. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Student Support Services for Northborough, Southborough, and the region. So, this year, our Extended School Year program welcomed 194 students across preschool through age 22 for the Northborough, Southborough, and Algonquin districts. The program was housed at Algonquin Regional High. It was a successful program, and there are many people to thank for their contributions. First, the central office administrative team, including human resources, finance, transportation, technology, and health and wellness. I would also like to thank Sean Bevan and his team for welcoming the program back to Algonquin. The custodial team at the high school, led by Mike Gorman, they worked extremely hard to prepare the building for the upcoming school year while also supporting us and our needs while we are in the building. And then also a special thanks to our site coordinator, Kelsey Rondo. She was our coordinator in the building who ran the day-to-day events, and she did a really wonderful job. Having all of the programming at Algonquin continues to allow us to combine our resources to really maximize our resources in terms of our nursing coverage, our therapies, speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy. When we are able to keep everyone in the same building, it minimizes travel time, and it really helps us to provide services in the best way. One of our goals each year is to increase the amount of our own staff who work in the summer. This year we did have an increase over the last few years. 23 teachers, speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, specialized reading teachers, and BCBAs who work for us during the school year worked in the summer, and we hired 6 people externally to help in those roles. We had 3 different district nurses who work for us all year long, cover the nursing needs in the building. And then our educational support professionals, we had 47 district staff, and we hired 32 externally. Some of our external hires are now currently hired and working within our buildings, which is great. It often gives people kind of a chance to see what it's like working in a district like ours, and we do often hire many people at the end of the summer. Also, some of our external hires are people who continue to come back to each summer, who work in different districts during the school year or have a different position during the school year, but they return to our district in the summer for our extended school year programming. We have students who are in the building a variety of days and times depending upon what their needs are. Some kids come for a walk-in service, maybe 1 time a week or twice a week for 30 minutes. We have students who work in the building up to 4 days a week from 9 to 2 each day. So it's really a variety based on student needs. And then lastly, each year we send out a feedback survey to our parents. And that was disseminated today through Parent Square, so we are receiving feedback from our families about the extended school year program.
Thank you, Helene. Before you go, can I ask a question?
Of course.
It sounds like the ratio of staff to students was like really good. I counted up just from the numbers that you get 108, excluding the nurses, and that's against the 194 that you mentioned students. That's that's amazing in terms of just how much kind of possible one-to-one interaction there was.
Yes, we had the ratios worked out really nicely. Obviously, our students who require that one-to-one support to have their needs met, we were able to meet and really deliver that support. It also really allowed for us to do some nice group interventions within small groups of maybe 3 or 4 kids with 2 staff with that group to increase social interactions and things like that.
Awesome. And I don't know what the high school building is like facility-wise, but is it, because it's in the summer, is the high school building provide more, is it more comfortable than some of our
Well, yes. The hallway we use is air conditioned, which is why we choose it. No, we use the H200 hallway, which is a second floor hallway. For the majority of our 5-week programs, that is a wing that is air conditioned, which is nice. The hallway below it, which is H100, also has that air conditioning capacity, and we use that as well for mainly our CASEL programs in our preschool. So we kind of keep groups together throughout the building who work well together. So our preschool was all together. Our CASEL programs were fairly close to each other. The programs that exist in the high school already stay in their spaces, and those are generally rooms that are controlled for temperature anyway, and they're all fairly well clustered together throughout the building. So yes, it is a great space. We do some modifications for our preschoolers, obviously, because they're little, but it works out very nicely.
Does anyone else have any? Roger?
I have a question for Rhoda, or a comment, and I was trying to think of a word as you were, it takes me a while to think of words though, as you were presenting the program. But before that, so the theme you had of was it currency or finance? I forgot exactly the
Financial
description.
literacy.
Are you, look, it appeared from your presentation that worked out really well.
It did work out really well. Yes, because the way it's presented, everything is interactive and everything is multisensory and hands-on, so they're real-life activities that the children are doing. So they were engaged every single day in real-life activities.
By the way, the word I was thinking of was you bring such enjoyment to the presentation. I can't help but think, but you bring it to the program also. You know, it was I just you know felt I would have enjoyed being in the program almost. Yeah. You know.
Well, it's not really. As I was listening to Helene, I forgot to give credit to Megan Wickstead, who's the ELD teacher here at Trodia, who coordinated the program, Sandy Bunsey, who developed the curriculum, and an amazing group of, we had 7 teachers and 4 ESPs, so they really worked tirelessly to bring this, but with a lot of joy. So, and the children were very happy to get off the bus and be there. So that's what brings a lot of joy too.
And it'll be a different theme next year?
Yes, a different theme.
It sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just say, I also want to thank Maria Allen, Director of Student Support Services, and our 2 other assistant directors, Kate Clark and Deb Lemieux, also played a huge role in making sure our students received a great experience this summer. And then also thank Rhoda again, Rhoda and the team for, again, making it an amazing learning experience for our multilingual learners. So it's no small feat, and as people head out for the summer, they're starting planning in April, early April, all the way up to the launch of the program. So thank you for your hard work and efforts. And next, we have Dr. Reinhorn, who will provide an update on professional development and curriculum, and also our new teacher orientation.
Okay, so I have a few slides, but it's like 4 slides, so I think you're probably good to stay where you are, kind of glance over your shoulders, or a few images that you'll be able to catch. We started there's a lot have our is our the district, so across the their mentors and all the and a chance for people to meet each other, to get to know their mentors initially, and learn more about the school and the district. And so we really take the opportunity to focus in on our mission, our core values, and our portrait of a graduate. And as we welcome them, to try to show them some of what we value and what we're all about, and engage them in that work. So a lot of Nancy Bissett, my administrative assistant, does a tremendous amount of work to help organize this. The mentor coordinators for Southborough, Kristen Tev is our mentor coordinator, and is also working through the summer, making sure the mentors are matched up and helping to organize. In addition, the tech team, we've been working with human resources and with our tech team, and Mr. Lavoie has been involved in trying to just continually improve our onboarding process. And so this year, when our new teachers came to new teacher orientation, by the time they left that day, they had their key cards in hand, their devices in hand. They had already logged in to all of the really key platforms with the entire tech team there to support them in whatever way they needed, learned how to take attendance, all of those things. So there was a more streamlined process, which was really great, and I think makes that entry even easier. Professional development, I'm going to take us back a step to the spring. You heard a lot, and I think as you hear from people, one of the things that stress common here running through schools, ways of working together and across schools. And I echo the thanks that they shared for the coordinators for the various disciplines who are helping to do this work. So Megan Kelty in ELA, and Kathy Lazat in mathematics, and Jenna Phillipton O'Connor in the social emotional learning have particularly played roles in some of the pieces that were mentioned today. In the spring, there was a tremendous amount of effort that went into preparing for these new curriculum pieces. For Wit and Wisdom, we had, as you know, a grant that required us to have all of the materials on site by June 30th, and the PD that the grant was paying for completed by June 30th. And that was no small feat for our principals and for their staff, for their administrative assistants. Some of you were even involved, but that really set us up well for the start of the year. The same thing with Carnegie. We started the PD in the spring, which set us up well then in August to be able to continue that work. Also, I have to thank the teachers. And they are engaging in this work wholeheartedly with tremendous amount of effort. So it has been great to be able to bring people together. So in August, we continued the work. Another kind of launch was of our second cohort of UDL Explorers, which happened before school started. And that's a year-long experience for a cohort of educators across the 3 districts, looking at universal design for learning, which is what UDL stands for. You already have heard about some of these other things about our first 3 days of school. In general, the feedback was, in terms of the calendar, that people really appreciated having that 3rd day. So I won't restate what all the pieces were. I think you've gotten a pretty good picture. But that was feedback that we got. That is a picture of Doc Brown, for those who were not there at our keynote. It's not a picture from our assembly, but that does remind people of what they saw.
Well, that's one of the pictures of Doc Brown, right?
that is one image of Doc Brown. Yes, we saw him in several different forms, right? So then, just a few curriculum updates. Again, I don't want to be too redundant, but probably I'm not going to name everything that's happening, but a couple of the things that were work that started last year and continues this year. The middle school level, The implementation of the Carnegie Blended Math Program continues and is off to a great start. Yesterday, one of the consultants from Carnegie, who's going to be working with the teachers throughout the year, was here at Trottier and meeting one-on-one with teachers, with special educator, like math classroom teachers, special educators, working with Todd and Gary. And then in addition, we have a consultant from Carnegie, a different person who meets with Todd, Gary, me, and the Northborough school leaders and works on building our capacity to lead this work. So we have support in both directions. In addition, we continue the work in ELA and social studies of developing and refining work that's happening around genocide education. So that will continue, and then there's lots of other things, but those are two highlights. In the elementary schools, I think you've been hearing all of this, so I'm not sure I need to say much more, but we're excited about vision and math, second step, and kindergarten and grade 1. I think there's chuckles going on as this is a hot off the press picture. Mr. Martineau was so excited after being at Finn today, I think, right? This morning, and he and Mr. Ryan were in that's kindergartners, right, Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
In a kindergarten class, and that is Senora Graciani with a puppet, and she had them speaking Spanish and doing greetings, and apparently they were all riveted, and so we hot off the press image in there for you. So happy to answer questions, and very exciting start to the year.
No questions from me. I just want to say that to hear the feedback about the professional development, those extra 3 days, or that extra day to load up to 3, that's really good to hear, because we all kind of went back and forth on that, scheduling, calendars. And did you get that feedback day of? Or did you send an email post that to kind of, or was it just a sentiment?
So I am getting that. I would say that we're getting that feedback secondhand through the principals primarily.
Okay.
We did not send a specific survey to get that feedback, although we could.
Okay.
But we were mostly getting that from the principals who were hearing. I did have teachers, and I think Mr. Martineau had the same experience of when we were just out and about in buildings, and teachers would come up to us and say, it was so helpful to have that one more day, or it was really gave us time to do X or to do Y.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
And then lastly, for the school reopening update, is just a communications update. So I'll go back in time during the 21-22 academic year. Julie Doyle and the technology team spent a lot of time researching website tools to update and rebrand our website. So they spent the year doing that. At the beginning of last year at this time, we launched the new website. And then in December of this past year, we learned that the company Blackboard, who primarily focuses in learning management systems and learning content systems, decided that it was no longer going to be in the web design business and sold its arm of the website. So we found ourselves as a district with the need to go out and procure a new website tool. The fortunate thing is the work that Julie did was actually still beneficial. We went with another company that we were pleased with in terms of web design. That we also talked about their, as part of the criteria for evaluating, we talked about the longevity in the space. Unfortunately, we did not get the truth with Blackboard. But we went with a tool called Final Site. So Julie and the technology team, specifically Julie Marshall, who is our data integration specialist, spent the spring and the summer retooling our websites, rebranding our websites to this new tool. And we launched that this past month. One of the things we do want to acknowledge is that many people are getting an error when they were visiting the website. So part of rebranding and rechanging our website is actually making sure that the IP addresses and the DNS names are replicated throughout the world's DNS system. That doesn't happen with a flip of the switch. It can take anywhere between 24 to a week to 2 weeks. We think we're past that. So those 411 error messages hopefully are gone. I will share that part of the rebranding of the website that we had to redo provided us a second opportunity to build more consistency across our school's websites and the district website. So you'll see kind of standard look throughout and themes throughout the district and school's website. And it is more accessible and hopefully the information that parents need is at their fingertips. We'd be happy to receive any feedback. Like if something is not accessible, send it our way. We will try to update and improve as we move through the school year. And then secondly, this is our second year launching using Parent Square as our communication tool. So it's our unified communication system. There are a tremendous amount of features in Parent Square that we did not roll out last year that we are starting to utilize as we move forward in year 2. But it continues to be a great platform for our communications out to parents. And we are encouraging parents to download the app and use the app because that is kind of that unified place where you can get all of the school's communications rather than searching through a million emails and trying to sort out the communication from different schools. So we continue to work on the website and continue to enhance our communications to families. And any feedback around communications, we're always welcome to send it our way. And it's a dynamic part of the work we do. So, any questions about communications?
I have a question. If community members or families have feedback about the website, who do they contact?
They can, I think Julie Marshall, I think that on the bottom of the district webpage there should be a a web person, email address, and that is Julie Marshall, who is managing that work across our district, so she would be the person.
Do you have any updates or comments around Power School?
Yes, so also new this year, not new to middle and high school, is we did launch the parent portal for Power School at the elementary level. And primarily that is, it gives us the ability to provide parents with more information about their children, attendance, and also report cards.
Right.
So that will be the vehicle that parents will access report card information moving forward this winter. So that's a new tool that we rolled out. And also that is part of the enrollment process and also the form process, all the forms that parents have to fill out. So. And I think we've had a couple suggestions. One suggestion, which I thought was a great idea, is that for specifically for Finn, but all of the schools, having an IT person there who can help navigate Power School, Parent Square, and signing up, especially our new kindergarten families. So that is something that we will look to do at upcoming events, but also next year as we launch the school year.
That might be good at the open house and what different names for it.
The good news is for our newest families to our school district. Once you get through year 1, it's Parent Square and Power School, and then middle school we get to Canvas. So we add another tool when we get to the middle school level.
I would also offer that maybe as part of this whole communications aspect, like with downloading the app, we've sent a lot of emails and communication. Maybe the students could be part of bringing their parents along. Like, share, and subscribe. They have videos, so that could be one way. And also, sometimes it might be hard to have the teachers to stay after what do we have report cards day, and they're meeting with the parents, and then you need to also have someone do help a parent with the app. You might have a savvy 8th grader that would love to tack on some community service hours, and they could help them through some of those apps. So it's a lot of Trotter students trying to get their community service hours. All right, so that's.
So that is the school reopening update, and if it's the will of the committee, I think our principals
Could take some time back.
have a catered dinner ready for them.
Okay. Excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
Kyle will meet you in the lobby.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rhoda and Helene also, thanks. Well, as they begin to pack up, we'll get ready for the next part, which is the facilities update. Is there anything on the board for that, Keith, or Rick?
So I'll just
Oh, sorry.
I'll just quickly begin by saying that, we have 10 schools across our
Mhm.
3 districts, and 4 of those schools in Southborough with thousands of square feet. And it's a tremendous amount of pride and effort that goes into maintaining those buildings on a daily basis. And the work that takes place over the summer, you heard,
Yeah.
is tremendous. Our team does 4 months worth of work in 4 weeks to prepare for students. And if you look at Trotter and the shiny floors, and if you've been in any of our buildings, the pride and effort is evident. So I just want to thank Keith and the team for the great work. And Mr. Lavoie, there's no shortage of building projects across our 3 districts, and specifically in Southborough, there were some significant projects that were managed by Keith. So Keith will provide an update.
Sure.
But thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm so glad the principals did mention the custodians, because they are, at the heart of the work that happens over the summer. And not only that, helping to make sure the central office is available for us throughout the summer months. We also helped host the Southborough Recreation Program over at Woodward, which is a key part of making this facility available, as well as Southborough Extended Day Program down at Neary. So we weren't without students. We definitely had students that we were supporting in programs, but Tim Davis has been a great partner through Rec, and so hasn't Carrie Packard through Extended Day, to make sure we melt that together nicely and we can still get the summer work done. So aside from the routine maintenance of semi-annual inspections and annual inspections, which all went very well, we do have a couple of larger projects for Southborough that really helps with our capital plan. The highlight of that is certainly the Trotter paving project. Certainly want to help thank the town, the DPW, from starting with Karen Galligan and moving over to Bill Cundiff, our new superintendent of the DPW, to help manage and facilitate that project. Trotter, and I have good knowledge of what it used to look like and how it used to perform. And even with all the rain, it was tested this summer very well to make sure drainage was proper, and it's never been better. In fact, the area of the parking lot right behind us here was very challenged with puddling and a lot of erosion and different things that were occurring due to just settling over the years and poor pitch. All of that was restored, and even with some of our heavier rains, even when we were getting 4 or 5 inches an hour, that back lot, we came up and did not have a puddle.
Excellent.
So we're off to a good start, and it was tested. And today it was tested again, and very minimal puddling out there. So I really want to thank Lazaro is the name of the contractor that supported all the paving throughout the town, and especially here at Trotter. I feel like they did a really nice job of looking at the detail, reviewing it carefully, and coming back to us with suggestions, and we were able to follow that and execute the project slightly over budget, but certainly within means that we could handle. Certainly when we explored this project in the beginning, the price was astronomical, but because we really partnered with the town, we got a very favorable outcome, and I think that we're going to see that ring true for the next 20 years.
Yay.
So we're off to a good start there. The second project connected to our capital plan, and we're still waiting on, is the rooftop unit here at Trotter for the auditorium. We did have leaks in the coil there that we have, contained and sustained, but, we are looking to get that unit replaced. We went through that process last year, went through the procurement of it, and now the unit is simply on back order. So units of that size typically are out 8 to 9 months.
I am hearing that we are on target for an October or November install, which still would make it possible to get done prior to the winter months. So Brian Fantoni and I are tracking that closely, and hopefully I'll have a report for you in the next couple of months on where we are with that project, because that is important. On the smaller side, like Greg mentioned, maintenance and things that are more routine, a lot of painting throughout the district was able to occur, and we're also able to restripe the parking lot at Woodward, which was also overdue. So we're happy to get that done, and even parking here at Trotter was a treat with the new line. So it definitely has an impact on how we can operate and how we can function. But those were the major projects that occurred, and certainly I don't want to forget the little ones. There's a lot of stuff that we did to meet the ADA compliance report that we received last year. We knocked off some of those items as well, even here in the parking lot. That was mentioned and refined with different slopes being graded properly. A lot of detail, attention to detail to fall within that as well was part of our work this summer. So overall, pretty successful, and looking forward to going right into the school year.
Awesome. Any questions or comments? Roger?
I know that we got, I know by partnering with the town, we got very effective pricing, but I
Absolutely.
was going to pick up on slightly over budget, so what was your expectation, and kind of how much did they miss by?
Oh, I think
About.
So the total project ended up to be $216,000, and then we did have a $16,000 change order for accessibility. So we were about $16,000 over budget. However, the projections of this complete project was about $340,000.
Right.
So it was just by partnering with the town allowed us to accelerate the project by years.
Worked out well.
Yeah. And even some simple things under their advice was, there were certain outcroppings of grassy areas that had curbing that weren't necessary, and that we're able to remove, and now we have a better flow for water and stuff. It just, some of the simple details that have already shown that it's been an improvement for us here, where what the gains we got from this contractor, really quality work.
You have that same joy I saw in Rowan, when you're describing this project.
I was thrilled. I came up here and saw no puddles. Honestly,
it was pretty exciting.
It was pretty exciting. The little things, Roger.
But I also think you can
Puddle
say
free.
just paving, but I think that we're very proud of what happens between the four walls of all of our schools.
Yes.
And the outside presence of our schools need to be reflective of the pride that we have in our schools. Many citizens don't have a chance to come in and see the great work, but they drive by these campuses. So I think it's important for us to make sure that they're buildings that we're proud of, that show that pride is taken in maintaining these buildings, and I think we have a great team doing that.
Not just what's inside the package, it's the wrapping that's also important.
Wrapping doesn't hurt,
Okay,
yes.
Never hurts.
Nope.
One thing that I think doesn't kind of get captured is that even over the summer, students are coming to the parking lots where the playgrounds are.
Absolutely.
And they're playing basketball, they're, playing on the jungle gym, they're learning how to ride their bikes even. So
Absolutely.
just having that kind of, the surfaces maintained and updated, it's serving the community. It's kind of one of those like unmentioned benefits that we're all receiving. So that's good. So that's a good segue as we talk about learning how to ride a bike into transportation update.
So I'll just make a general comment before I turn it over to Keith too. And I think that when we think about school systems, we often think about education and what happens in the classroom, but we're really running a business which has a lot of different sectors: food services, transportation, finance, healthcare, and it's a really complex operation when you start to think about all of the different facets that we manage on a day-to-day basis, and we have a great team doing that. Transportation is a key aspect of the work we do, planning for the upcoming year, and it starts in February to make sure that we're prepared for transporting students across our 10 schools, but specifically in Southborough. So I just want to acknowledge all the hard work and effort that goes into trying to make sure it's as seamless and as smooth as possible. And, you know, if you hear in the news that transportation is one of those sectors that's still struggling in terms of staffing, and we have felt some of that this year as we did last year. But Keith and Sheila have done a great job trying to mitigate those challenges and work with NRT, our bus contractor. But it does continue to be an area where we as a district are managing it more closely than we really should be in terms of NRT not fulfilling its responsibility. So I just want to say that before we start the transportation presentation.
And with that preface, it is important. I do thank you for bringing up Sheila. Sheila Hanna joined our team in October of last year. She never had the first day of school experience of transportation. So she was certainly enlightened with that, perhaps frightened at times. But all in all, one thing I have heard consistent from August all the way to the current day is that her responsiveness, care for the kids, care for families has been premium. I've witnessed it. I think we've all heard it. Heather has heard it because her space is right outside of Sheila's. And that goes a long way. I think that care and consideration for what people's needs are in the moment and then more long-term are important and are reflective of the type of preparation that goes in. So like Greg said, the preparation for the school year does not start during the summer. It does start in the prior year where we're rolling in and rolling out students. That does have an impact on where stops can be. We do collaborate with NRT closely starting in the spring to make sure that we are staying as current and as updated as possible. But really, some of that work can't be done until we are actually in session, because we don't know what people's habits are going to become, whether they are consistent or not, and the flow of that is just something that evolves over the first 3 to 4 weeks of school. There are some families that said, well, I haven't started riding the bus yet, but I will. How is that going to work? And we try to give them as much advice as possible. There is frustration with the first 3-4 weeks of school in getting these routes tied in. There's no shortage of work to be done. One of the obstacles, and Greg did meet that, is that even if we did have all of our drivers every day, there would still be work to be done. Now that we haven't had all of our drivers every day, that's distracting from that work and takes away time that Sheila have to really dig in and make the adjustments necessary. So we do appreciate everyone's patience. It has been on display. Certainly the weather hasn't helped. There have been days where we have had some trying dismissals, which really doesn't really give us a clear idea of what the system will be or how it will work. I think progressively it has gotten better, but there are places where we still need to improve, whether it be the timing of the routes or certain stop locations, and that will be something we continue to make sure we make time for and the necessary improvements. But a huge shout out to Sheila, the principals, the admin assistants, and definitely the families. I'd be remiss to say that, you know, the families and their feedback, especially through use of the transportation request form, has been critical for us to make those adjustments. So there have been families that have made suggestions to consolidate stops. There have been, messages to say, hey, listen, if you did this way, you might gain 5 minutes. Many of those times are correct. They're not just self-serving. They do. We have gotten some amazing feedback, which has impacted and things we haven't considered before. And the key is that they're real because they are living the experience. So we really take that in. There's still no shortage of complaints and other things that we're able to navigate. But overall, I think every time we get that type of feedback, we're able to improve, and we need to continue to do that. So I'm hoping that the next couple of weeks bring some more consistency, and one of the key factors of that will be driver consistency. So we are on daily, hourly, minute-by-minute communication with NRT about their status for the upcoming day, and I just had an exchange with them less than an hour ago, and we are covered tomorrow, as of now. So we'll see what 6:15 tomorrow morning brings.
And I'll just end with a couple comments.
Please.
So what do we have control of as a district? So ultimately, transportation is our responsibility as a district to make sure that it runs smoothly and kids get to and from school safely. But we are in a contract with NRT for transportation services. We did build in service level agreements and performance standards in that contract, so we were holding them accountable to those, primarily in the form of finances and payments. So that is something we're working on. That's one control lever we have. We're also, we did take routing in-house last year, so we are in control of our routes. So we are not relying on NRT to route our buses and waiting for them to make changes. We have complete autonomy over our routes. So I think through Sheila and the feedback from parents, we are trying to build efficiencies. So I think, you know, the two areas where we do have leverage, we are using that to our advantage. But again, where we don't have leverage right now is bus driver pool. So, you know, how many bus drivers are showing up, how many subs we have. That is a very tight labor market in that area. But we are exploring a couple opportunities and ideas that potentially could help. But again, it will take some time to get those implemented. And again, it's no fault of you know, Sheila and her efforts. It is just a real challenging environment right now, and that we live in terms of transportation.
And as of mid-August, or actually even days before school started, we had every one of our drivers in place, all 32 drivers with an assigned route, which was just music to my ears because that's not what I was expecting, with 4 substitutes ready to go. But even after day 2, those subs were absorbed and other unforeseen issues occurred for drivers, so they were unable to be in those permanent positions. And that's what we've been up against most days since actually the second day of school.
So that just speaks to just how fluid this is, right? It's day to day.
Day to day.
Hour to hour.
What would be maybe in place for the morning may not exist in the afternoon.
Right.
And that's one of the challenges we have. We have to make, you know, decisions in the
Yeah,
fly.
and I think part of the internal conversations we're having is Keith is assistant superintendent of operations. He's not the assistant superintendent of transportation.
Yeah.
He has stepped in to manage this, to make sure it works for families as best we can. So we are looking at what other short-term staffing we can add to you know, free up Keith to do some of the higher level analysis that will actually improve route times and so forth that we just can't get to right now because we're basically managing day to day.
Right.
And again, that's no fault to the district. But ultimately, we're responsible for the contract and transportation for kids. And one other comment, so we also, for our special education students who are out of district, we are one of 12 members of the Ascot Valley Collaborative, and really the collaborative provides a number of resources to our district. It's really economies of scale, so with 12 other school districts, they're able to get pricing and provide us with services that typically we wouldn't be able to individually as a district. So they provide transportation to students out of district being contracted through Vanpool. We are seeing similar, actually more challenging transportation issues with students who have out-of-district placements. So we are also collaborating with Ascot Valley Collaborative to hold Vanpool accountable for its agreement to the contracts. It's not just us, it's 12 other member districts that are impacted. So it has been transportation heavy in terms of some of the things we're managing at the central office.
On that last point, how do you manage when the Vanpool serving students with like special needs, physical or not, has to span such a large, in terms of like, how do you ensure that they're getting to school on time?
Yeah,
Because
so that's a great question.
Yeah.
And, you know, Helene is who, you know, talked about ESY. She's also our internal transportation out of district person who has been managing this and has collaborated with ABC. We've had meetings with the executive director of ABC and talked about, you know, our kids aren't getting to school on time. That's not acceptable. We're looking at, you know, if Vanpool can't meet its commitment, then it needs to hire, you know, Ascot Valley needs to hire another transportation firm, and then we'll charge Vanpool what it costs us to get kids to school on time. So it's been very frustrating for families What we have control of is communication. We've been trying to communicate with families, what the challenges are. And part of the frustration from our perspective is that it reflects poorly on our district, that it looks like the district is doing this, and it's not the case. It's that, we are trying to do everything we can to hold Vanpool and Aspen Valley Collaborative to its commitments to getting our kids to school. So I think in transportation in general, we have a lot of thinking to do around what the future looks like, because what we're doing now isn't necessarily working.
Sustainable.
So it's part of a larger school committee conversation around, not just here in Southborough, but also in Northborough and
the high school. Roger?
I didn't seem that same joy that I did in the. But
Reserve comment.
But it'll. So how? I know that staffing by the company that we contract with is. I'm sure that there's some challenges there. How challenging is, or how much does? I'm going to use the term, I guess I'll say, change in ridership, especially early, the first month or so. I talked to some folks in different school systems in different states even, okay, and the challenges aren't all similar, okay, but as far as this area, okay, do you see a lot of that? I know people may not want to start their child to school the first day, and sometimes it might be a whole stop. I don't know. And
Sure.
But does that? How challenging is that? And does that smooth out? Historically, where's that in kind of your list of, I guess, difficult things to try to deal with?
That's a very good point, and it's one of the main factors that drives routing is ridership.
Right.
And how do you obtain accurate ridership? We don't have chips on every child, to track them. So, they're not GPS. But that'd be, parents probably would like that. But no, really, I think you're hitting on a great point. When we go through our system to assign students to a route, and designing the route is all about the capacity of the bus, the amount of miles, the amount of time. It's a factor there. There's like 5 or 6 different variables that go into creating a route. One of the key ones is ridership, and it is an unknown. Because you could go ahead and assign 70 students to a bus, and our ridership has historically been around between 40 and 60%, depending on the route. So there you're like, well, you have room. But then on any given day, that might not be the case. So one of the things that I'm really trying to work on, and I've reached out to numerous vendors of, how do we leverage technology to make it simple to get ridership on a daily basis? Maybe we know that Friday there's a trend. Maybe we can learn something from how, bad weather, good weather. There's a lot of different factors that go into it, but ridership is a key point. So what we do is try to get at least a couple of times after the first 3 weeks, we will do a ridership count, like physically count the students that get on and off the bus. And we'll use that as a baseline or a benchmark to follow. And then we'll do it about a month later. So we'll do it in late September, late October, what do we got? And then we'll analyze it. And then what happens is another factor of it is at Algonquin, there are so many activities. Kids are doing a variety of different things, and over the course of the years, more students are able to drive because they become of age to do so. So how much does that impact ridership? I don't have the data on that. I don't have hard data to say, yes, it reduces by 15%. I can't tell you that because we don't have that day-to-day type of stuff. I'd love to have ridership on a daily basis. I think that would really help us improve efficiency.
You can't just overbook like the airplanes can.
But we kind of do in a way to make it work, but it's not a perfect science yet for us.
Yeah, I would say that every student is geocoded and routed.
Routed, yeah.
So some of the work we're doing right now is, the bus drivers are stopping at all the stops, regardless of whether a student is there or not.
Good point.
Which takes time. So now what is happening is, the bus drivers are learning their routes. Now they know that stop A, B, and C don't have kids. We can build some efficiency in. But going back to kind of our future goal is that if Amazon can track packages, that FedEx can track packages and take pictures of the package in front of your doors. There's technology out there, it's logistics. So there's a market to be cornered in the bus industry that hasn't. So we are the first company that does and does it well. We're there.
Sign me up.
Sign us up. Because it would help real-time data, knowing where kids are.
I thought there were parent concerns around that issue too. Has that gotten better?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we don't, like many districts will have a card now. I think there is one district in the Commonwealth that is piloting having a card that when they get on the bus, it's scanned. When they get off the bus, it's scanned. So I think there are ways we can do it, and part of our technology team, we vet, data privacy, and we'd have to go through that process. So there's a lot of work, and we'd have to make sure that it is safe and communicate with parents that it is a good tool. But most parents want to know where their kids are, and the bus can be a bit unsettling, especially if we're doubling up buses or we're running late because buses are late. Parents want to know where their kindergarten is.
Absolutely.
And they deserve to know.
Yep.
Earlier you said, you talked about the transportation request form. Is that the mode or method that you would like us to tell folks to contact you and Sheila through, or just here's Keith's email and here's her email and
Not on day 1 through 5. No, but honestly, the transportation request form has been something we've put in place since the start time change.
Okay.
And it existed in different forms prior, but it is something that actually helps us catalog and go back years of the different types of requests and things that have come in. It's been a great tool. I will say that this year, the number of requests that came through there was less than the prior year, which shows that we have made some gains.
Yeah.
We also didn't default to some things that might have happened in prior years, so we've able to anchor off the improvement and build off it. But the transportation request form is a place to go, not for an emergency like where's my child,
right.
but
Hey, I have a thought, or our community has
my
realized.
neighborhood's been talking. We like to move the stop from A to B. Yes, that is the tool to use.
Okay.
Totally.
And I think that is our short-term thinking around, we need to add some supports for customer service so that there is a person who is at the phone or at email, fielding all of these calls so that just parents can, where's my kindergartner? Can find out immediately.
Yeah.
So adding some staffing, and I think this is probably a larger conversation that probably will be tied into the budget process, that through the start time change, there were some trade-offs across the pre-K to 12 continuum of transportation. One of the, we have a lot of data. We had professional studies about transportation. We have a lot of information about route times, bus costs, transportation costs. So we have that data at our fingertips, and we can share that as we go through the budget process to talk about transportation, because it really is that pre-K through 12 continuum and finding the balance that meets our high school, but also our earliest and youngest learners. So can we bring Joy back to this conversation? And
Yes.
talk about solar?
Green.
Sunshine.
Yes.
So-
Let's go.
Yeah, so as you all know, our goal is to become net zero in terms of our campuses across our 3 districts, including our buses. So that is something that we're very excited about. So we've continued
That's
this
interesting.
work, and Keith has I think an exciting update that will
I
bring
do.
joy.
I do.
My
For
opinion.
joy and sunshine. So the solar update. So one of the things we've done, and we've done it a couple of times, is connected with different companies that provide us with some expertise and evaluation of our campuses and of our sites. And for this latest round of solar interest. We went back to Select Energy, which is a company out of Hopkinton. They are the company that we partnered with to put the solar system on top of Algonquin a few years back, which we are now yielding some positive results from. So we did engage with them to talk about, okay, what is the next layer of options that we have available for our school district. So between the three districts, Select is proposing 7 total projects, one of which is in Southborough for the K-8, and that would be a solar system on top of the Trottier roof, the building we're in now. However, as we all are aware, the Trottier roof is at the very top of the capital improvement list for the school district, and solar system on top of the roof is just simply not possible in its current condition. So one of the things that we are very excited about, and is why we're kind of fast tracking these projects, is because Governor Healy did support a grant opportunity for roof replacement, with the caveat that if you get the grant funding to replace your roof, you need to put a solar system on top of it.
Okay.
So Select has been watching this environment very closely. We don't have the application yet, but I think I'm going to be the first that applies, because it would be just outstanding for our district to capitalize on 2 key goals: getting to that net zero, but also maximizing the square footage on top of this building, which we have always identified in the early stages of our solar review as being a prime opportunity for solar. So we're excited. We have gotten our name into the queue with Select for this process. It is in the infancy. Like, I can't show you pictures and fun stuff yet, but the idea that we would be able to maximize our solar opportunity here, and I think the payback wasn't 100% coverage with the roof. I can't remember the number on this building. Do you? We've had some
No, I think they're
projects.
also,
Very strong, though.
partnering with MSBA, so it's going to be a partnership between state money, MSBA, the accelerated repair project. So, but I think, as Keith mentioned, we had a proof of concept at Algonquin Regional High School with a solar array on the roof that was very successful. The company that we partnered with, Select, they were outstanding. That is the company that we're partnering with on these solar projects, and they also have done their due diligence. They're also they were part of kind of this concept of roof repair, solar in its infancy, working with the state. So we feel like we're doing everything we can to position ourselves well to be competitive, to make this happen for our district.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel the joy. That's good.
It was joy. Sunshine, if you will. Yeah. No
How
pun
about you,
intended.
Roger? Yeah.
I don't feel the sunshine.
I do.
Okay.
Although today it's hard to feel the sunshine.
Can I just add one other comment too? So another area we're looking at is, some of our campuses aren't great for solar.
Yeah.
So we're also looking at securing green energy from solar farms in the state.
Yeah.
So although we can't have the infrastructure on our buildings, we are looking for opportunities to invest in green energy through solar farms. So, there is a potential through the combination of solar infrastructure within our campuses and investing in green energy through these solar farms, that we could get very close to net zero in the future, and also with the Neri Building project and committee. So there's a lot of excitement in there in terms of what could be in the future for green energy, renewable energy.
Cool. Yes, go ahead, Jen.
I brought this up before, I think, but and not to counteract the effects of like green energy, but would this potentially allow us to consider cooling or central because of the increasing temperatures? Our kids are in school in like 95-degree weather.
Yeah, I think we're not going to room by room, air conditioner by air conditioner, cool our way out of changing climate.
Right.
So I think we do need a comprehensive plan for HVAC in general that talks about heating and cooling. Dehumidification. So I think that is something that Brian Fantoni and our other facilities manager and Keith are looking at to see what opportunities are out there. I think there are a lot of grants and opportunities for kind of this space, so we're looking at those.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be a long-term solution for the
Right.
community. It's not going to get any cooler from the weather reports that I've seen in the
Right.
future.
Yeah, and that's just something, thinking forward to what it's going to be like for our kids as they're going to school now. And we're having like September and October 90-degree weather. What it's like to be learning in that kind of environment.
And the other space that we're looking at and excited about too is, having, solar, but also making sure we have charging stations. The whole space is changing as well, so making sure our facilities are ready for, electric vehicles or whatever the future may bring, electric buses. So I think we're also looking at that, and those are components we can add on, that we've had some conversations with Select. So,
Yep.
I think there's a lot of emerging technologies too in this space that are exciting, and we just need to be ready to capitalize on them.
I have another.
Go ahead, of course.
Are there any implications to like cost of like future roof repairs if there's solar panels on? Does it become more expensive then to fix problems?
Not if done well and right, and I think that's the combination, that's the thread. So I mean, a building of this size and this magnitude, we've had a variety of different roof consultants take a peek at it, but what is really sticking out is, and this is a complicated roof, this has a variety of different substrates and angles and all sorts of stuff. So we will make sure that when we get into any type of solar, the solar is not going to come first. The roof is going to come first, and we're going to want to do it right and correctly. So even the investigations that we've done with some of the areas that have been compromised, we've been really able to learn a lot from that and able to come back with some good solutions to our consultants that are helping us build a longer term plan. So, I would say that, we're going to maximize that warranty opportunity. And I know that is definitely going to be part of the grant. Like, you can't put a 10-year roof and then put a 20-year solar system on it. The minimum solar systems are about 20 years, right, typically?
Yeah, and I think
So-
that the contracts that we
Yes.
write, so like at Algonquin, for example, there is a
Provision,
provision in the
provision,
contract
yeah.
that they have to remove the solar 2 times. So,
Yeah.
when that is, I don't know, but it's in the contract, so if something happens, that we've built that factor in, and we will do the same
We'll do the
for
same, yeah.
all our solar arrays on any roof.
Yes, Chelsea?
Thank you. Has a structural engineer looked at this building that has signed off on that it can handle solar panels even with a new roof?
So Select,
That'll be part of their preliminary work. Yeah.
So the solar array at Algonquin, they have a structural engineer on staff
Yeah.
Okay.
who comes out and works to make sure that the load and the
Mhm.
roof can handle
Okay.
that. So that is part of the assessment that they will do as they move forward with this kind of proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you probably don't know this yet, but do you know the timing of like when the grant would be open and to get the new roof? And then is there any time restrictions on when that grant funding could potentially run out? Like the HVAC system had a stipulation on that. Do you know any of that yet?
No, not yet. The grant opportunity was just announced over the summer.
Okay.
So we're waiting to see what the package looks like. Usually there'll be kind of an unveiling and a launch and an application to Peru, and it's important to get into the details of those documents to know some of that type of stuff, with whether it be deadlines or the types of things. I would imagine, and just because of the market and knowing the market, because we are replacing a roof over at Proctor, and what it took to kind of put that all together, it actually went kind of quicker than I thought.
Okay.
But still, I would say, something as large and as complex as this would take some time.
Okay.
And I think the state is building a plane in flight, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
the application isn't out.
We don't have
They
the
have written
application.
application.
But
So
I'm ready
we
to
are-
write it.
So I think we are in a great space.
Yeah.
As soon as the application comes out, we have Select lined up, we have our intent lined up. I think
Okay.
the other complexity that doesn't exist necessarily at Algonquin is because it's its own entity. We do need to partner with
Oh,
the
good
town
point.
and town meeting. So there's a whole kind of plan that we have to move forward with. But I think we are ahead of where most districts are. So
Okay.
we're in a great place.
That's good.
And that's why it was important to get in the queue with Select as soon as we could.
Got it. Thank you.
Well,
Yep, Roger?
So just to follow on, I know that when you're, I'm not an expert on this for sure, when you're putting a roof on an existing building,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have total flexibility because the building's there. And if you were putting a roof on without any consideration for solar, you might build it one way to the
That's right.
degree.
That's
But
right.
with consideration for solar, you're going to necessarily build it so that it can be as, I guess, consistent with using solar as an energy source. That's in the future, I guess, right? And you're not, as far as they're working with, that's this company, I guess?
Yes, and that's where,
that's
we'll
the-
really get
that's
into
where
the
the design
quality
is gonna come in.
engineering and making sure that we're doing the things. You're not just gonna add a conduit onto the
Right.
side, which you would maybe do now at your home or something like that. It would be more of, a higher level review, make sure the engineering is done properly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's something that Select has commented on a couple of times with us.
Have we, sorry, can I ask?
Yep, go ahead,
Have we
Corsi.
looked at the economics of this solar project in details? Like
Yes,
the-
so part of Select's analysis, Select Energy's analysis too is it financially feasible? Does it
Right.
make sense for us to invest in a solar array on our roofs? So we have all of the calculations, and it is a positive investment. We will be saving money in terms of our energy costs. But that is partly why we partner with Select Energy to do that analysis. And as we get further into this,
Yeah.
we'll have more detail around, what are the savings, so we'll have more information.
Yeah, in that calculation, do we factor in the potential increase of electric devices or vehicles that we're going to put into the schools?
And if you think about electricity costs, the past 2 years, we are at risk in terms of the variability in the energy market.
Mhm.
Where, for example, the solar array in Algonquin, we've locked in a price for the next 20 years. That is fixed. We have made more money on that project because the cost of energy
Right.
has expanded incrementally. Astronomically. So financially, we are looking at that very closely to make sure, it's an investment to put a solar array on a roof. And we want to make sure it's the right investment for us.
Z, would I be right in thinking that you would like to see what that analysis looks like prior to?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
I've seen multiple for my house, but I want
Okay.
to see it for the school.
I guess I would just, if it's preliminary right now and, we're just not there, but if it's something that, when we get to the point that it's shareable, if you could send that to the committee, that'd be great.
Does that get discussed as part of the capital plan, or where does that go?
Yeah, I think that would be part of the, I think the HVAC cooling, I
Yeah.
think that is part of the capital plan conversation, and solar as well.
Just taking a look at our agenda where we are, we have about anywhere from 15 to 20 more bullets before possibly moving to executive session. So if you ever see an opportunity that you think that we can need to adjust,
I'll talk faster.
let me know. Okay. All right.
So legislative update, I can be real quick. So the FY23 state budget has not been closed out yet. They did pass a supplemental budget that included $75 million for the increase of out-of-district costs for special education placements. That was 14%. Southborough, that impact was about $300,000 on the budget, so that's significant. So that's $75 million. We're waiting to learn more about how that will offset those extraordinary costs for out-of-district placements and tuitions. So hopefully there will be some relief, but again, the budget hasn't been closed out and they're still discussing what that will look like. But it is promising news because that was a significant increase that we weren't anticipating. Approval of grants and donations. So there are several grants and donations, I just want to make a general comment around, there's a tremendous amount of grant opportunity currently, federal and state level. I just want to commend the leadership team, Mary Ellen Duggan, Dr. Reinhorn, Jennifer Lifton O'Connor, Keith. They're all applying for these grants. These grants are competitive, so it's not like we apply and we get the money with our entitlement grants. So we are seeing a lot of success in the grant writing and the work. So over the next several months, you'll see grants coming at you, which is all great news because it allows us to do some great work. And this evening, you have a grant to approve $50,000 in security technology supplemental grant that we will talk about in executive session, and that is through the good work of Keith LaVoy in writing that grant and getting that secured. So that is very exciting.
Does everyone have a copy of that in front of them? I thought I did.
A copy of,
The grant approval letter should say, yep, okay, congratulations. We've been awarded the $50,000 grant from, okay. So I can, we could wait until executive session to approve this, or we can do this now?
You can approve it now, and
Okay.
then we can discuss kind of some of the ideas and concepts in executive session.
Okay, this OGR one, is that, yep, here it is. So I'll accept a motion for approval of the FY 2023 Safer Schools and Communities Initiative, Local Equipment and Technology Supplemental Grant Opportunity in the amount of $50,000.
so moved.
Second.
Moved by Roger, seconded by Jen.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yep,
So the motion is to accept the grant.
right.
Okay.
So we applied, they said, yes, your application is approved, we would like to give you this 50K. Now we're approving that, yes, we will take it, we will accept that. You have any more questions?
I just didn't realize that we need to vote on that. You
Um,
said yes, right?
Yeah, no, so what we're doing kind of as the committee is, we're acknowledging that this funding we're receiving it from outside, and that we're going to take these funds and utilize it within our school district, alongside of funds that we use from the town, taxpayers' money, etc. So it just kind of adds like an additional layer of transparency, checks and balances. Okay, so originally it was moved by Roger, seconded by Jen. What do I do now?
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay, and myself too? All right. We have, that grant has been approved.
And then do you want to quickly read through the next 3 grants for?
Yeah.
So the next 2 grants really help our music program. We have a Majestic Percussion kit and a rolling bass with an estimated value of $150 donated by the Rose family. And Fender Frontman 15G amp with an estimated value of $35. The Yamaha Alto saxophone with an estimated value of $700 for the Caruli family. So those are 2 donations. So if anyone wants to so move a motion.
So moved. Do we accept those as led by the superintendent?
So moved by Roger, seconded by Jen.
Just thank you to those families for.
Absolutely.
We will
Those
write a thank you
donations.
letter on
Okay.
behalf of the committee, central office.
Yeah, I appreciate them thinking of the school district first, right? And in terms of donating those. Moved by Roger, seconded by Jen. All in favor? That's all of us approve, so that those 2 are also approved.
And then the last is approval of Reading Across America donation from Boston University in the amount of $500 to Finn School.
I'll accept a motion to approve the $500 from Reading Across America to Finn School.
So moved.
Moved
it
by
on the
Roger.
agenda?
Second.
Second.
Oh.
Second by Jen. Any questions? I should have been doing that all the time. Any? Okay. All in favor of approving this? That's all of us, so this is also approved. Thank you. Now we can move to old business, the MSBA update.
Sure, so I'll give a brief update. So as the committee knows, the town of Southborough and the public schools of Southborough is invited to MSBA's core building program for Neary schools. So the Neary building committee moved from eligibility to feasibility. So a tremendous amount of work was done over the summer, really securing an owner's project manager. So just want to thank Becky Pellegrino and the finance team for getting all the documents in a very short window of time, and the Neary Building Committee for acting on those documents and going through a process to select an owner's project manager. So an owner's project manager was selected, and that is Skanska. Skanska has been working with the Neary Building Committee on really going to the next phase, which is designer selection. So the Neary Building Committee created 3 subcommittees. One is communication, one is finance, and one is designer selection. So the real work right now is designer selection, and Skanska's leading us through that process with the hope of going before MSBA on December 5th to actually have a designer to move forward with and secure a contract with. The next meeting is actually Monday, September 18th for the Neary Building Committee. So the work is moving forward. The designer selection really will begin the process of community input, feedback, talking about goals and aspirations, what the community would like, what the school district would like. So we're moving forward in a timely manner, and I think the Neary Building Committee has done an outstanding job, and pleased to be where we are today.
I think that's a great example of just like, how long it takes for us to move things forward, but if just inch by inch, just in the time that I've been involved, to see the progress that's being made, that's been really good. Does anyone have any questions or comments about those?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Do you know what will be decided or what will be discussed at the December 5th meeting by MSBA?
So MSBA, so the designer selection, there is a MSBA committee that will actually review the designer selection process. So we have 3 people that will represent the district. So we have people representing, but it's a vote of that committee at MSBA.
Okay.
And we will have 3 votes. So we will present the designer selection. Skanska will present the designer selection and our choices. They'll ask questions, and then we'll take a vote.
Okay.
And then we'll begin to procure a contract with that contractor.
The MSBA meeting is in person or virtual? Sometimes they do both. Okay.
So the December 5th meeting, as we know it today, it's in person.
Just saying. Any other questions about that? Yep, Roger?
I'd just like to, confirm, since I'm the liaison to the
Yes.
building committee, the amount of effort that the district, certainly Becky, but others, have put into this. It's a lot of work, and a lot of work has been already performed, and there's still a lot to do. So it's quite an effort, really. They've done a great job.
So as Roger said, he's part of the Neary Building Committee. The next item on our agenda is talking about subcommittees and liaison assignments. So if you turn to the page in our physical deck or on your laptops, last time we met, we went through and confirmed which ones were inactive, and we knew kind of really needed to just be deprioritized or set to the side, and this is the list that remains. So I just want to take a few minutes, could take a look at them, see if you see anything that stands out as needing to change, if your name is on it and you don't feel that your name should be there, should be elsewhere. Also, we have open seats that we can confirm tonight as well. If we still can't reach a conclusion, then we will revisit this one more time.
So we would like, I think, to switch the operational budget committee to take me off.
And I'd like to.
And Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Roger?
Well, if I can add to that, so I'm the alternate on that committee. So if we switch, we still only have one member of the committee, and that's Chelsea, right?
No.
I can stay on there.
You're going to stay on this? Great. And that's in the, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm looking at the wrong one. Never mind. I'm looking at the capital planning.
Right, so there's still an open seat for capital planning.
Okay. Can you, Jen, you want to describe capital planning and see if any of the, I know what it is, but if any of our other members would be so
I mean, it
inclined.
might make sense. I think the budget and capital planning kind of go hand in hand, but you can't, because you can't.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
this
right.
one.
No, you're right. So we discussed like upcoming projects and expenses for future, I think out to what?
Yeah, so we have a 5 to 7
5.
year capital plan, and each year the capital plan subcommittee, in preparation for the larger committee, reviews that plan and hears from the district what it thinks are the next scope of projects for the upcoming year, and then we think about long-term as well. So it's really capital planning.
I really like sitting on the committee. It's interesting to learn about the projects that we have and the ways it fits into our goals. So it's not a huge amount of work either. It's a few meetings.
Do you happen to know when the meeting though?
So it really depends on the members of the subcommittee. So we usually work with the members of the subcommittee to find
Okay.
times that work. So
Okay, so it's flexible.
you know, so if you happen to be on the committee, we would work around your schedule so you can
I see.
be in attendance. This year, the subcommittee meetings, we're going to try to do those virtual. Most of them, unless there's a reason why we need to be.
Even better.
And I think, if you're interested in things like the solar,
Yeah.
this is the roof, the things that we've talked about, those.
I think you'd like the committee.
we've discussed, yeah.
Yeah.
And if for some reason, I mean, I am an alternate, so if for some reason at the last minute somebody can't make it, then we've sort of got the two people covered.
So can I just say one comment
Yes.
about this work? And
Finalizing this.
I'm going to share a word on behalf of Cheryl Lepre. So, so Kamali made a suggestion to have calendar invites to all of our school committee meetings for the meetings across our 3 districts. We'll be doing the same for subcommittees. So I just ask that you accept, if you're on the committee,
Click the accept button.
accept the button, because that's how we determine whether we have a quorum or don't, or who can attend, and we need to reschedule. So if you can just pay attention to those and accept the calendar.
You're looking at
No,
me, did I?
That would be very helpful to us.
All right, so if we could cover,
What did it sound like we just had?
Oh, yes.
Zio
Yeah, so
add to the committee? Excellent.
Mhm.
okay. Payroll and warrants, is that sufficient with one team member?
Well, there's really two
We're
people,
both doing it.
2 people sign, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, it's been working fine, I think, for
Okay.
the 2 of us, if you want to hear how it's working. And I can't speak for Chelsea, but
It's
it
great.
seems like she's
It's
already,
perfect.
okay,
Yeah.
her signature always gets there somehow or
Yeah.
other.
okay.
Somehow or another.
One of those kids, they just, okay, so that's great. And then, so policy development subcommittee,
So I am happy if no one else wants to switch, since I'm off the budget committee now, I can switch
I see.
to that one.
okay. Jen, I will accept that.
Do you want, and I'm happy, I'm very happy being on that committee. Kamali, do you want to be on that committee instead of the alternate? or
I
not?
would like to remain as an alternate.
Fine, okay.
Yeah.
We're good with that, then, the Jen moved on.
Okay, if we move further down the line.
So can we just go to audit subcommittee?
Yep.
So I think we had talked last time that, Greg, you do want somebody on that.
Yes.
And I'm happy to do that one unless somebody else does.
Which one?
Audit.
Audit.
It's
The top one.
Audit. And working with Becky on doing some
Internal
internal.
controls.
So what does inactive mean?
We will change that to active, so it had previously been.
So you're gonna need a second person on that, right? Or do you? Maybe
No,
not.
we don't. No, I don't,
Oh, okay,
you know,
oh,
with
okay.
one person, and then, I mean, we can always, the school committee can always revisit if it needs a
Mhm.
second person as well.
Is there any interest in, we'll hold that at one person for now. Is there any interest in having an alternate there? Okay. How about I do another approach, which is like just work down the line. If you see, so right now we have a liaison to the SOS, a PTO, and the parent PTOs that has an open seat.
Who has done that? Have we, is that new?
I don't think we've had, anyone attend those meetings.
Do you know when those meetings are?
So those are the superintendent advisory meetings on Friday, once a month, Friday mornings, and they're virtual. And they're really open to anyone who would like to attend. But it also could, you don't need to assign someone, you could just have someone show up every month and it can rotate through whoever's available.
That's the PTO SOS, that's
Yeah.
what you're looking at?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being one.
Okay.
And we'll add all of you to that invite, and then just, if you see who's accepted, that person
Don't
is
accept. Then right below that is liaison to NSPAC. My name would be there. I would continue in that role. And Roger, would you like to continue as my alternate? Or we can both, two people are allowed to be there. That's
Yeah,
fine.
no, I would absolutely like to continue.
Okay.
The dilemma we have obviously is because the two folks in Northborough that like to be on that committee,
Yeah.
that then causes a quorum issue, or it causes it causes a quorum issue with
Too many
the
of us.
superintendent union seat. So you have to actually call a meeting. So usually one of the four people has to drop out, as opposed to trying to call an open meeting for that. I don't think you'd want to do that. So, but that'll work out.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think that'll work out.
We'll list those two names. One of the reasons why we haven't minded in the past is because of people's schedules. Sometimes someone from the Northborough or the regional hasn't been able to attend, and it ends up not being an issue anyway.
And the region's not really a problem because they can have as many. Well, they can never. They would never get as many people as cause a quorum issue.
Quorum of 10.
Yeah, they have to have 6 people, right?
Anything? Z, just looking at the list, is there anything that you would like to add your name to? Selectmen, senior citizens.
Yeah, I think I've expressed my interest in that one before.
Yes.
Senior citizens.
And I think that will be very important as we kind of move the Neary building project work forward, having good connections with our senior population in the community.
We also voted the gentleman as part of the municipal technology community last meeting that we had, if you remember. So does anyone kind of want to sit in on any committee meetings that would probably involve that team as well?
We don't really sit in as a. There are. I don't think any of this committee actually sits in on that MTC, on those MTC meetings. We've. I'm sorry?
Or you select a community member to represent the
Right.
community.
Did we select 2?
2. I think we have
Yeah.
1. I think we have 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have 2 community citizens that we've selected
Yes.
to sit on that committee.
Right.
It's not one of us.
Okay. I'm going to write that this is not applicable.
But it's an open meeting. Anyone, I mean, it's,
And I think one thing we could do, or the committee could do, is invite the representatives to come and just once or twice a year and give updates about the work. Ryan O'Leary, also Director of Information Technology, attends those meetings as well on behalf of the district.
is the next committee, should that line item even be there? The master plan?
I don't think that's an active committee with the
I
town
don't think so
anymore.
either. Yeah, I think you could line that out. The master plan, school committee representative.
Okay, then we have strategic planning committee.
So our strategic plan is through 2026. So I think in the next 2025-26 school year, we'll reactivate that and reauthorize for the next period of time. So I think that's fine remaining inactive this year.
Okay. We're almost there. There's 2 study groups listed here. One is the Coalition for Equity. That's active. I don't know, there's probably on average 15 or so folks that attend that. And then there's liaison to the Solar Feasibility Study Group, some of which we talked about today. So for the Coalition for Equity, I can continue to stay on, and if anyone else would like to join or would like to take over, I'm open to that as well. I can tell you, if you have any questions, I could tell you a little bit about what it entails. And then for the Solar Feasibility Study Group, Roger, you're currently listed, but is anyone else would like to either be an alternate, join as a secondary person? All right, here.
I'm looking down at G. Are you interested in,
Yeah, I can be a second
either
person.
being the liaison or being
Do you want
the
to
second
stay
one?
on? I mean, if you want to stay on, I can be a second person.
I bring a lot of sunshine to that committee.
I agree.
And I've been able to attend most of them, but I did miss, but not all of them. So having a second person,
Yeah.
I think, would be
Okay.
very
Yeah,
helpful.
I'll be sunbathing there.
All right, so we've got Z.
Okay. All right. I think we have a good start for the new year, and if we have any adjustments, then we'll come back to this. All right. Thank you. Where is our agenda? So next on our agenda, we have the superintendent's report to the committee.
Sure. So the first item in your packet is the enrollment report as of August 29th, 2023. So we monitor enrollments very closely over the summer on a weekly basis. It involves Nancy Bissett, Cheryl Lepre, Sheila Hanna, Keith, myself. And as we look at enrollments as of this date, we were pleased in terms of our enrollment projections. Sometimes we'll see a level of enrollment kids that really changes what we had projected, but we did not see that in this case. All of our class sizes within class size policy, except one. We do have one 4th grade section that is one over with 23 students. So the other 4th grade classrooms are within class size policy, which is 22. The middle school level class sizes are healthy, so at this point in time, our projections were fairly accurate. The NESDEC projected 1,201 students, and that included pre-K. Our enrollment is 1,221, so we're 20 students over what NESDEC projected. And then you'll see the second enrollment projection was RLS. They projected 1,138, but that did not include pre-K enrollment. So actually the NESDEC enrollment projection was closer than RLS. and I'd be happy to answer any questions about enrollment.
Let's add this as something to look at in our next meeting, because we've seen that this,
Yeah.
well, maybe not the next one, maybe 2 meetings from now, because September, October, families figure some things out, and then we have seen changes. I think that might, I'm curious to see if that 1221 begins to get closer to the 1201, you know. We haven't seen it change by that much delta in the past few years, but
Yeah, I think the K enrollment last year at this time was a bit of a surprise from what we had projected. I highly recommend that the school committee continue to monitor enrollments monthly.
okay.
And then I think, Kamali, to your point, looking at the variation from month to month is really important, so that we can make any adjustments if necessary, to be within that class size policy.
Okay.
So seeing,
Sorry, a question on the enrollment. So I read that Northborough provided some temporary enrollment for the refugee families. So does
Yeah.
Southborough have that too?
yeah, so Southborough does not. So we had families staying at, I believe, the Red Roof Inn in Southborough. Red Roof Inn did not continue the contract with the state, so those families found housing in other communities. And in Northborough, we have 16 families who are staying at the O'Connell Lodge. 6 are at the high school, and 10 are enrolled at our middle school and elementary schools in Northborough.
616 student age, but actually up to about 100 individual
Right,
people,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And then Mary Ellen has been, and the team has been instrumental in making sure we're organized and supporting our families and making sure the kids have what they need to be successful at school. So also in your packet is the final FY23 budget. Becky Pellegrino, our finance director, is not able to make it this evening. She does wish she could be here, but she can't. So I just want to commend the finance team for closing out fiscal year 23. If you look at the bottom line is 0, which is exactly where we want to end. So if you think about a $22+ million budget, managing that throughout the year, monitoring it very closely to ensure that we expend it on behalf of the students and the citizens well. The team did an outstanding job of doing that. So the FY23 general fund, the budget is closed out. And the next step in the process is really auditing that budget. So we do need a vote from the committee to accept that.
FY24.
FY23.
I'll accept a motion to approve the final FY23 end of year general fund expenditure report as of June 30th, 2023.
Is that an until audited or is
Until
that?
audited.
Until audited. Moved by Jen,
Second.
second by Roger. All in favor? Okay, all that's approved.
Right. So also in your packet, as the finance team is closing out a fiscal year, they're also launching a fiscal year. So in your packet is the first monthly general fund expenditure report for FY24. The finance team at the central office has done an amazing job going through all of the line items and making sure we have encumbrances. So if you look at the bottom line of the budget currently, the balance is a little over $2 million or 10%. That accounts for many encumbrances, so projecting for what the balances will be moving forward. So they've done a terrific job. There's still some work left to do, but it is, we are where we're supposed to be in terms of the month of August. And again, the team has done a great job. And I'd be happy to answer any specific questions about the fund report.
Are you usually at 10%
No,
in the
we're
first
usually,
month?
we're usually
Yeah.
closer to 3 to 5%.
Okay.
And that's because we go through and we encumber everything we know that's coming our way. So it's typically, this is a bit higher. There's still some encumbrances left to be done.
So do you know why we're higher this year?
I think there's still some encumbrances they're finalizing.
Okay, got it.
So they
Okay.
go through the Northborough budget first, then the Southborough budget, and then the region, and do all this. And it's a
Okay.
lot of detail work.
Yeah.
So they're still doing some of that.
Okay.
So the next fund report that you'll review will be closer to the actual budget with all the encumbrances completed.
Okay.
Just keep watching that third to last column that says encumbrance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this will require a vote until audited.
I will accept the motion to approve the FY 2024 budget monthly general fund expenditure report as of August 31st, 2023 until audited.
So moved.
Moved by Roger,
Second.
second by Jen. Any questions, any additional questions?
Yeah, I do have some questions about the negative balances in the the summer transportation, 50,000, and several salary aids for the negative. Just curious for my.
Tell me what the line
is-
items are.
And page number would help too.
Oh.
Just-
Oh, page 30. Page 9.
So summer transportation for special education. So basically, the balance, I'll have to follow up with Becky on this, but typically the $50,000, I'll have to follow up, I'm not sure.
Okay.
That should not be zero.
Yeah, I was just curious. It started at 0 and then we spent 50,000.
So the summer program starts in a new fiscal year, so there is an expense of transportation, so I'll follow up with Becky, and it looks like the budget was $50,000, but for some reason, I'll have to follow up on that and see.
Okay, thanks. And then the teacher's salary at the top of that page and bottom of the last page, there are a few negatives there.
So in terms of salaries for ESPs, support professionals, depending on students who move into the district, requiring one-to-ones, and also the hiring of ESPs from HR, there are some variations of salary. So we go off of projections, and right now, based on the needs of our students, we are $53,612.75 over on that one.
Okay, I see. And then just another curious item, the employee separation cost on page 8, about 27,000 there.
Yeah, so in the collective bargaining agreement for educators, there is a provision in the contract if notice is given by an employee that they're going to retire, there is a provision that they actually get a payout of some sort based on the contract, and that is that value that we're anticipating.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so Greg, you have that action item, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with Becky, and
Okay.
she's probably watching.
I don't think we voted that though. I think there was,
We just need to vote.
there was a motion.
Right.
And second. Okay.
Yeah, we moved it, and it was seconded. We had an open question. So again, the vote is to approve this until audited. All in favor? That's all of us? Thank you.
Right. Also in your packet is the ESSER funding and revolving account summary, so I'll just quickly go over that. So pleased to share that we have completed spending ESSER 2. the district received a little over $135,000, and we had till 9/30/2023 to expend those funds. And currently, the bottom line balance is going to be zero. So we are in a great position. We are very conservative in our expenses with ESSER, because we didn't know what the budget landscape was going to look like. So again, the finance team did an outstanding job. ESSER 3, you can see that we also received $130,000 for ESSER 3. We have until September 2024 to expend these funds. Currently, we have expended 155. Sorry, we had ESSER total 281,000. We've spent 155,000. We have encumbered $93,000, and we have on the bottom line $32,000 to expend before September 2024. So again, we are in a great position with ESSER 3. And we do need a vote for ESSER 2.
Is there a number 4?
There's also, those are the grants, and then revolving accounts. Why don't we go through those two ESSER
Okay.
funds? We probably need a vote to close ESSER 2.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question about both of them?
Yeah.
Are there any line items in either one that are recurring costs?
So we do, we try to be very strategic in terms of making sure we didn't create any structural deficits in the budget. That was very hard to do.
Right.
So there are some areas in the budget that we know we have to consider as we go through the budget process.
Okay.
So Becky has
She has that list.
highlighted those,
Okay.
has that list. But again, we try not to put people on these grants so that we didn't create these unfunded
Positions.
liabilities moving forward.
Got it.
All right. Can I combine ESSER 2 and 3 together?
So ESSER 2 is the only.
It's zeroed
grant
out.
Just to close it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will accept a motion to approve the closure of the ESSER funding number 2, currently with a balance of 0, as of today, September 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So moved by Roger, second by Jen. I'll do a roll call vote, or a question?
Nope.
I'll do a roll call vote. Chelsea?
Aye.
Jen?
Yes.
Myself, Kamali? Roger?
Yes.
Yes. So, approved.
So then lastly, the revolving account. So the two revolving accounts that we have is facility rental. So you'll see a balance of a little over $272,000. I will comment that we have not yet subtracted the paving project from that account. So we'll have approximately $40,000. The revolving account is funded through rental of central office space by Northborough and Region. We also do charge back some expenses to our extended day program to that account for services that we provide that program. So we will see that balance be impacted by the paving project, and we'll see the funds get deposited in that account throughout the year. And then extended day, so currently the fund balance as of August 31st is a little over $164,000. We are still reconciling summer expenses, so, but again, we are pleased in terms of the financial projections that were made and where we landed in terms of running a full year of Southborough Extended Day program. Just we have wonderful staff, who've done a wonderful job.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just want to note that we did not raise fees to our families. So one of the benefits to families running in-house is that we haven't had to raise the rates. And in the foreseeable future, I don't anticipate we'll need to unless the committee wants to or sees a necessity to do that.
I have a question about the extended day.
Yeah.
So is this suggesting that is this because of the summer, right? The expense $148,000 versus the revenue?
So correct.
So this means that we lose money over the summer, for the summer program?
Yes.
That's consistent with what extended day had in past years?
Yeah, because there's the reduced amount of enrollment there. And also it's less days. So SED, the extended day would be 5 days a week, and then also on special days when school is closed. Whereas in the summer, they only run 4 days a week. And in those 4 days, the registration or the sign up, people can sign up per day. You're not blocked into a 2-week block or a 1-week block. You can just choose Monday or just choose a Thursday. So I think I recall seeing, when we were bringing them over, that this is consistent, that the summer is a lower revenue opportunity.
So is there anything we can do to make that better, right? Whether it's like reduce staff, if only a smaller percentage are attending and it's so expensive?
Yeah, I think our intention was to run the program for an entire year and kind of learn and see kind of a year's worth of running the program. So, one of the things we will be investigating, and Heather will be looking at the staffing and the staffing needs and what do we need to do to staff in the summer. But again, I think this is for us to look more closely at. We do want to offer summer programming, but I think it is something we'll investigate a bit further. So, this is an expensive summer program,
Yeah.
and you have to kind of take a close look at it.
Yes, Roger.
Janice, at your point, that we're basically funding the summer program on the backs of the folks that are contributing to the school year program, right?
Right.
Which is, I think, a good point.
It's being subsidized by the profits of the September through June tuitions. So we will be looking at that, and I think there are some there's some solutions in working with the director of extended day, the finance team, and Heather with the personnel. I think that we have some ideas.
Roger.
Different, so on the facility rental, revolving account, so we paid for the park, we paid for the,
We have not yet paid for the parking
well,
out of this.
we
It's
will,
not captured,
okay, so
yeah.
then that'll drop 200 and whatever thousand. So what do you anticipate that balance will be July 1st, 2024? It's going to come back up to something, but how long?
Probably $90,000, maybe $100,000.
Okay,
So
okay,
one of the
okay.
reasons why we have a large balance in this facilities rental is through COVID, we weren't able to do projects. So
Right.
we've had this is a multiple years of savings, and it's also a potential strategy the school committee could take. So every couple of years doing a larger project
Right.
that is on the capital plan to offset some of, going to the townspeople and asking to borrow money or having the town pay.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Related to actually both accounts, so the Trotter paving and any other ins and outs that you need to do, will that hit September books, or will that be as part of the as audited?
We just received the bill.
Okay.
Actually
Today.
So the next month's report should reflect
The
that bill
payment.
being paid.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And then you said there was one more.
No, for both of them. So
okay.
I just want to understand the timing of when we get
So-
bills and.
Yeah, so these monthly, you'll get these monthly.
Yeah.
And accounting will reflect the bills
What actually
paid
happened in that month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So grants update, revolving account.
Do we have to vote to approve the revolving?
Yeah.
I will accept a motion to approve the revolving accounts fund balance as of August 31st, 2023 until audited.
So move.
So moved by Roger.
Go ahead.
Second by myself, Kamali. I'll take all in favor? Okay, approved unanimously.
some budget presentation, so we'll let Becky present.
Remote.
So I'm just going to hit a few highlights of the FY25 budget process. So first of all, I think it's an exciting process. It's about what we hope to impact that happens in the classroom for our students. I think from a school committee perspective, it's probably one of the most powerful ways you can influence what happens across our district and what resources our teachers have, what experiences our students have. The process really begins starting in July and August. We've already met as a leadership team talking about what goals do we as a leadership team want to try to accomplish this upcoming year through the budget process. And it continues until the annual town meeting and hopefully approval of the budget at the town meeting. So I think in terms of in your packet, we did put that FY25 budget calendar and all the key dates that you can anticipate. That is a running record of all key dates, and we'll be updating that periodically if things dates change. But it should give you a sense, an overview of what to expect month to month in terms of budget meetings and due dates. I will share that in terms of the FY25 budget process. At this time last year, when we were looking at the FY24 budget, there were many variables, one being contract negotiations with our association. So that is a variable that we do not have to contend with as we look at this budget. Also, the 14% increase of out-of-district tuitions is not something that we'll have to attend to. And again, that was a significant delta on the overall impact of the budget. We were looking at energy costs. So we have fixed energy rates. We renegotiated energy costs, so those are fixed. We know what those are going to be. And then inflation has moderated, so the cost of supplies, goods, and services has tempered a bit. So that is something that we're not attending to. So some areas that we will be looking closely is ESSER phase out. So again, we had to expend that money, and we tried to do so strategically, so we didn't create a budget deficit. But there are some areas where we need to really focus in. Special education transportation tends to be volatile from year to year, so we are looking at that as a variable. And then, although inflation has moderated, there are still some impacted areas that will potentially be something that we could take a close look at. Inflation, the next table, really, if we look at inflation over the past 10 years, 2021 and 2022, where it was 7 and 6.5%, was very challenging to manage in terms of the budget process. And right now we're looking at a kind of moderated rate at 3.2%, which is promising as we enter the budget season moving forward. And then I will also just briefly mention one last point, and that is, I think that as we look at the budget increases that the school committee has brought forth to the town over the past 10 years, I think it's been fiscally responsible and educationally sound. But if you look at from FY18 all the way to FY24, you're looking at 1.96%, 3.16%, 2.03%, 2%, 2.34%, 2.53%, and 3.5%. Those are very modest requests from the school committee. So I think it's something that the school committee can think about as it moves forward in this budget process. We are one department in many departments across the town. We are the largest department. We have the greatest budget impact. But I think it continue to encourage the committee to move forward budgets that are student-centered and think about what we need moving forward.
Yes, Roger.
I may have missed it, but the line out for the 14% increase on out-of-district tuition, did you mention that? Or what is that again?
So that was Operational Service Division sets that out-of-district tuition rate. That was an unknown as we moved into the FY24 budget process. That was a 14% increase. We are not anticipating that level of increase in the FY25 budget.
Okay, okay.
On the back of that, that page that we just referred to, for the historical budget increases, we have the priorities for this year. We left off last year with the draft of these.
So can I make a suggestion to
Yes.
the committee? So I think this is really important work that the committee does. My recommendation is to schedule a separate meeting between now and before the next school committee meeting, so we can actually spend the time and look at these very closely to make sure they're in alignment with what the committee's budget priorities are for this upcoming fiscal year. So my recommendation is to schedule a virtual meeting to really focus just on these budget priorities.
We've done that in the past. I found it really helpful. Okay. I think we have general agreement there.
Okay, so I'll work with Cheryl on getting a date set. Also in your packet is FY25 budget calendar. Again, this is our dynamic working document. As dates change and move, we will update this and provide the committee with updates each month. I will note that one component of the budget process that has been really helpful for the district, and I think the town, is we do have town school department monthly meetings that I believe will begin in October, early November, so that we can share information and make sure that we have accurate and updated information. So that is something that has been new for the past year and a half, and has been really beneficial in terms of helping the school committee understand the context of the town. And Roger is, I believe, going to represent this year.
Well, I want the record to show I offered it to Kamali to attend that 7:30 a.m. meeting, and she graciously allowed me to continue.
You know, I just want to make sure that all members have an opportunity to participate, and so thank you for extending the offer. When if needed, I will definitely be an alternate.
And that includes the superintendent's report.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. On the agenda next we have policy development and or distribution. We have a draft of one. Conduct of school committee.
So we just have one approved policy for distribution.
Yeah. Do you all have that in?
Not really a vote on that, right? They're just handing it out.
Okay. Do you see that? Do you have that electronically in the packet?
Sure do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, B220.
Okay.
It's right after the budget calendar.
Okay. All right. So really, the action is on us to just, take a review of it, see if you have any red lines, updates, and bring it back to the committee meeting, if so. Or if you can also.
So that's been approved already, right?
So I think this is actually completed, and it's just distribution.
It's just
This one is?
It's just being handed out.
Okay. Personnel items.
So also, busy time during the summer months hiring. So our greatest asset are our teachers and people we hire to work with our kids and staff. So Heather Richards and the HR department has done a wonderful job hiring and recruiting the 2003-24 new cohort of new staff. So Heather will provide an update.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first of all thank Nina Wall and Elaine Chisholm, who are the two other team members in the Human Resources Department. Many of the things that we do are supporting our employees, substitutes, coaches, retirees, and volunteers. So we support a whole host of and variety of staff in the HR department. So we do a variety of things such as family changes, benefits changes, lane changes. So there are a lot of behind the scenes things happening. But one of the big things that happens throughout the summer is the hiring. There's a lot of hiring. And in your packet, you'll see that there are 24 new hires for this school year. That actually is a wonderful thing, but we have many more people that we hire in the HR department. So we hire all summer long. As Helene talked about earlier, we have the ESY program that we support the external hires on. We also have Southborough Extended Day. We have the summer custodian program. So there's a lot of other hiring that happens. So I thought it might be interesting to share with you. With all of the hiring that we do throughout the summer and across the 3 districts, we have hired 153 new employees and through the HR department. So I'd say that it's been a great, very exciting summer and hiring season for us.
Well, that's a lot of work. So thank you to you and your team. I'm thinking back to when, I don't know if it's been a year or so, but there was some feedback or challenges on how many forms they had to fill out when they were hired, and especially some of our younger staff members, etc. And you were going to work through all of that. I guess that's smoothed out. To be able to onboard all of these folks, you're going to utilize a new tool, and how did that pan out?
It certainly has improved. We actually this year have implemented DocuSign for a lot of our onboarding and paperwork, which has been incredibly helpful because we've been able to streamline that, and employees can do it quickly and easily from the comfort of their home. And the only thing is we are now going back to, as of the end of August, we're doing in-person I-9 verifications again. So staff, new hires will be coming into the office, but we can still streamline the paperwork and streamline that part of the process too, with verified IDs.
That's consistent with what I experienced as well. I did a I-9 virtually, hired in the last 12 months, and then they said, nope, you need to come in and tell us who you are. So, any other questions for Heather and our team?
So just make one general comment. So a tremendous amount of work, and one of the goals that we have this year is to identify a human resources database that intersects with our finance database, so that we can build efficiency. So although we've made some improvements and use DocuSign, that's really kind of a short-term solution to a much bigger solution that we're hoping to research and implement over the next 12 months.
And I think, if memory serves me right, it's been something on our list of when we're creating our budget. We typically will say, here are factors that we want to include, and here's the cost associated with them. And then based on some, strategic decisions, not everything can get funded. And unfortunately, that has been one of the things that has dropped. So let's revisit that again.
And then can I just make one last comment? I'll be quick. Just a general comment in terms of that the work the school committee did with the collective bargaining agreement and working with the Teachers Association. I think that is such important work in terms of it really sets the district's reputation. People want to come and work in our district. When employees join our district, they want to stay in the district. So I think part of the work that Heather does is really recruiting, retaining, and I think the work that the school committee did really put us in a great position. We have competitive salaries in the state, and people will shift from working from one community to another because of the reputation of Southborough Public Schools. So I just want to thank the school committee for its work in negotiating contracts that are fair and send the message to our educators that they're valued.
Absolutely. Heather, thank you for staying throughout the evening. I appreciate that. So the next thing we have is a communications update. we're first starting with the MASC joint conference information.
I'm not sure if anyone has is planning on attending
Mhm.
the MASC conference. I know we do have a few folks from the region that plan on attending, and maybe one or two from Northborough. So if you haven't attended, it's not convenient. So for people with kids and life. But if you do, in your tenure as a school committee member, have a chance to attend, it is worth attending at least once. It's a great opportunity to network with other school committee members. The workshops are really excellent. So if you, in the future, if you can't go to this this conference, in the future, I'd highly recommend it. It's a nice conference.
So yeah, thank you for kind of reminding us again about that. It was kind of a note that I shared with the team ahead of time. So let's talk amongst ourselves to determine, if there's anyone that's going to go, and make sure that we partner with each other to get
Reach
there.
out to Cheryl if anything changes, and you have someone who would like to attend. Cheryl can help.
I might be able to. This is the first year it hasn't fallen on my daughter's birthday, so we can possibly attend this year.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards a yes as well. So if that helps anybody. Back to school newsletter. Let's talk about that.
So the newsletter, annual back to school newsletter went out in August. So that's kind of the launch of our communication to families. And again, Cheryl helps organize that and does an excellent job, and keeps me on target.
We also have the Story Bridge. That was an effort that kicked off during the summer. It's still continuing. You want to tell us where that is, Greg?
Yeah, so it's one of the many positive outcomes of the Coalition for Equity. So this is our second year having Story Bridge. So Jennifer DeLeon and Adam, how do you pronounce his last name?
Stumacher.
Have led a group of teachers, citizens in the community to learn how to tell stories and tell their story. So really, it's an opportunity for the community to learn about the people who live in the community. So I believe we have 9 people who signed up who've been working with Jennifer DeLeon and Adam on storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And the Story Bridge event this year is from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. on the 19th of October, and we'll be communicating the dates and times, and that will be at Algonquin Regional High School. And 2 of the speakers or people who will be sharing their stories that we know about is Dr. Medina, who will be telling his story, and Dr. Jennifer Lipton O'Connor will be telling her story. So if you didn't have a chance to go last year,
The first one.
it's a really powerful event.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend attending.
It was one of my favorite things that I did for the district last year. I would really if you haven't gone, you should go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have gone, you should go again.
Exactly.
And some people brought their kids as well, and I think it was powerful for kids as well.
Are there students this year? So last year there were.
I assume there are. I have not seen the
Yeah,
exact list, but I'm sure there are.
I'm not sure, but we can find out.
Yeah.
All right. I echo your sentiment, Jen, and I will definitely, as long as there's no conflict, be there. It was great. Also, someone I know will be presenting as well. And so October, Heritage Day. So living in this community, you know that we have Heritage Day around early October. One of the things that we would like to, we pursued last year and we would like to continue this year, is making sure that we have a presence, the school committee, because it's a day where a lot of community members are typically out, and we could have instead of just there are booths there for people selling items and arts and crafts, etc., we can actually present ourselves and serve as introductions, field any questions that the community might have, and
You could have a banner, transportation questions. See if you get any.
Keith.Laveau at, so we, you know,
Sent you.
we could, it really shouldn't feel very formal, you know, it's just an opportunity to make our presence known, introduce ourselves, answer questions, take questions back or ideas back. And so, first, do you know the date of it already? And I wanted to kind of gauge if there is an interest.
We can confirm the date, October 9th.
It's before our next school committee meeting occurs, so.
So we could maybe over email communicate
I'm
time.
sorry, yeah.
I said, could we over email discuss times?
Yes, it is the 9th.
I have some comments about it.
Okay, so it's October 9th.
Do you need we need another poster board, right? And Paul, last time Roger and I were there at the same time and no one talked to us except that they all went to talk to Paul about the
Well, let's
sports
Is that a
talk.
complex?
So let's talk about this just for
So
a
we
second.
need a big item to talk about.
I mean, so first question is, Northborough's had their meeting this year, right?
Correct.
And I know that Apple Fest, I guess I should say, kind of a bust last year. What did they decide this year, if anything, about Apple Fest?
Applefest got rained out, so I'm not sure what they decided, but I'm just saying, letting you know, like, it wasn't.
Has it already occurred?
Yes.
It did this past weekend.
Oh,
So they did the Northborough.
They decided to do something?
Not to have a booth,
yeah, that's what that's.
based on the prior year's experience of just, again, the athletic complex was a draw. My recommendation to the Southborough School Committee is that as we probably should connect with the Neary Building Committee around, is there a present, you know, I think if people have a reason to go and talk to you.
Right, and that's my point, is that
Right.
that was the reason that they came up. They don't just want to.
Yeah, the reason had nothing to do with the Southborough School Committee. It was only to do with the high school athletic. So the poster, we got a lot of traffic coming up asking about the poster, and Paul Desmond was there for a while. And so if we don't have something that's going to attract people, you know, I mean, we were there, right? I mean, we kind of watched it. So either we're able to do something with the Neary building, and I'm not sure what we know about it yet, right? But if we can't,
The solar panel things, I think, is potentially
You think?
interesting to inform people about that. I mean, we could use an image from here. I don't know, but
We don't have to solve it tonight,
No, we
but
can-
another out-of-the-box idea might be, it is meant for you to be there with your friends and family as well. So if you don't think that being stationary is a good idea, then maybe a T-shirt, a button that says
Okay.
SS, you know, Southborough School Committee, ask me any questions, do you have questions, whatever. So I'm just
I think we
throwing
did-
it out there.
we had a
and-
little bowl of candy, I think, to promote, you know, dental hygiene or the lack thereof. I don't know. Okay, I mean, that was a hit with the kids who came by. I had one, but yeah, we need to.
Well,
We can't solve it tonight, but and I think we did it in
shifts.
we did it in shifts. You know, I think what did we plan on? What did we do? An hour and a half a shift, and then two of us did it, and two of us.
I mean, I had a great time, but it was talking to you and Katora, right?
Yeah,
But I think if we
really,
have
really.
if we have some items that we can put up, we can discuss over email
Yeah,
perhaps
okay.
what times we could do.
To be determined, I think, Madam Chair.
Chelsea and Z, how do you feel about hearing that? Any?
I just don't know that I'll be
Okay.
available
Sure.
for that.
It's a long weekend, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, is it long weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, the kids don't have school on Monday, so that's the day.
That's the Monday that,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Indigenous Day.
Okay.
You'll think about it. We'll talk online, okay.
I mean,
It's a
in-
company holiday. Probably not.
I'm coming
You
back
and
from
I,
Seattle
Roger.
the
Okay.
day before, so I am actually in town on
Okay.
that Monday, if I still make the trip that I had
Okay.
planned.
So, I have that noted. We'll follow up for online. In the interest of time, let's talk action on the minutes. We have minutes from 2 different dates, both in June. Greg, you have any comments? Or can I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. So I'll accept a motion to approve the open meeting minutes of June 14th, 2023, as well as approve hold the executive session minutes of June 14th, 2023.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Roger and second by Jen. I'll take all in favor?
Abstain.
Okay, abstained by Z. Approved by Chelsea, Jen, myself, and Roger. Z, do you have any questions or?
Can I just make a
Yeah.
comment? Do folks know that you can approve minutes even if you weren't at the meeting? You can vote, you don't have to abstain
Oh, I
on
didn't
a
know.
minutes vote. I mean, you can certainly, but there's no requirement that that anyone abstain if you're not at the meeting.
I see.
People at this meeting can approve minutes for a meeting that they did not attend.
Thanks, Roger. Approval of any bill and payrolls. We don't have any for this meeting. And now we can just kind of start thinking about agenda items for next month. So right now, 2 that are noted are school improvement plans. We would like to talk about or get an update, maybe should attend in person from the Southborough Extended Day program. Either both Keith and Carrie or just Carrie. Anything else for next? Jen has an idea?
Go ahead.
Would we potentially, would it make sense to have information from the wellness committee, I see Mary Ellen here too, about plans for the upcoming year, particularly given potentially spikes and flus and COVID coming up?
The other, yes, I think that'd be, Mary Ellen would be happy to attend.
Oh yeah, she's jumping. I think.
The other idea that the committee might want to consider is if Kamala, you and I sit down and kind of map out presentations throughout the year that might be of interest, like health, SEL, so we can just map it out and maybe we can do that over a 2-year period so we have like this rotating schedule. That would be helpful for us so we can
Have more time to plan in advance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I know how I'd feel having to pull together a PowerPoint in a month's notes. So, Roger?
Well, yes, so I had the wellness, so that was
Okay.
the COVID potential situation. So, will transportation just be a bullet on there, or, because I'm pretty sure that we're going to want to hear
typically we
kind of
leave
what's happened in the second.
Those are
in the-
standing.
We'll
Yes.
leave transportation
The first
through
couple
November.
months?
Yeah.
Okay. There will not be,
Hopefully we'll bring more to it.
okay,
Sunshine.
there will not, oh, I'll never live that down, I guess. So there will not be, the designer selection process is, that's not going to come forth until the 18th, so that'll be after the committee. So I don't think there'll be much to report on the, on that.
The next key milestone's really December.
Probably
5th.
a couple, right, the December meeting, okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything. I'm thinking about what the principals reported earlier. I don't think there's all of those events like the Color Run, Nature's Club. None of those things would have occurred yet. If we think of any additional agenda items, we'll be sure to get them to Greg and Cheryl. Okay, so at this point, it is 9:14. Is there anyone that has any public comments? I'll open for public comments. Seeing as there is none, we will move to executive session. Do I need to close this one before we move to executive session? Okay. All right.
So probably we'll go into executive session and not to adjourn.
Okay. So I'll.
after executive session.
Yeah, I'll accept a motion. Do I need to have a motion to go to executive session as of, it's 9:15 now, so we'll close this session, go to executive session, not to return
To open session.
No, to return.
to open session.
So moved.
So moved by Jen.
I'll second it.
Roger is hesitantly seconding it. I spun him in circles, but you get the gist. All right, so I'll take a roll call vote. Z? Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Chelsea?
Yes.
Yes.
Jen, yes?
Yes.
Kamali and Roger. All so moved, so we will move to executive session.
And we will be.